Karen O'Neill from United Way, coming at you with our daily 3 p.m. chat hosted by Your TV. Today I have Jennifer Richmond with me. Jennifer's a crisis support worker with Victim Services in Chatham-Kent. So welcome, Jen. Thanks so much for joining us. And I just want to ask you personally, like, how are you making out?
Learning to a new balance, you could say, and learning to do work in a different format and providing a service in the community in a different way. So learning a new balance.
As we all are. It's really interesting how, you know, the pandemic makes you think and work, makes you stretch, right? And think and work in different ways. So let's start off with what is the role of Victim Services, Jen? I know I used to be a volunteer for Victim Services actually in the Windsor community. Really amazing opportunity and certainly so very much needed. But from coming right from somebody from Victim Services, can you let the community know what the role is?
For sure. So we're a nonprofit organization housed and to provide support for free for anywhere or for anybody, for anything, tragic circumstances, victims of crime in the Chatham-Kent area. So again, we're a free service. We're housed at Chatham-Kent Police Service and support all agencies and support all community partners. And in general, we're here as, and we also support and deliver a program called VQRP, so the Victim Quick Response Program, and that is for victims of crime. And that is to ensure safety, maybe enhance safety measures for victims of domestic violence, ensuring that if they've had they require a cell phone for safety planning reasons, securing them a cell phone. And in general, we spend a lot of time doing safety planning with victims. And we're just here as an agency of support to provide trauma-informed support, to educate people around after an incident, that being one of crime or tragic circumstance, maybe a sudden death, a suicide, a fire, just to prepare people what they might go through, both through physical emotions, mentally, psychologically, just so they understand what's expected in the coming days. So we have office staff that do follow-ups and support, and then we also have trained crisis responders that are in a volunteer capacity that provide this support in our community.
Your trained crisis response folks, the volunteers, what kind of training do they go through?
Actually, quite a substantial training. They have to complete an actual application process, and then once at a screening, a background check, and then they do an online program initially, and then they will do an in-class piece. It's usually about a 4-week in-class program with a graduation process. And once all those are completed, they are given kits provided, and then we'll start going out on calls as requested.
So that prompts me to wonder, in light of COVID, are you still looking for volunteers? And if so, are you able to virtually train?
So we do have the online portion. So we're looking at doing all that piece and looking at, so we are taking applications still for crisis responders. We're doing the interviews with the crisis responders, the potential ones, and we're looking at how we could move our training to an online forum.
Those are the creative measures that a lot of organizations have been figuring out these days. Now, with COVID, well, actually, let me back up. I was on a call with Sergeant Khan a couple of weeks ago, and you know, crime is looking a little bit different, or service calls anyhow are looking a little different. And I know that he said that calls were down in some areas, up in some areas. And I just wonder if that might be the same for Victim Services in light of COVID, like if there's anything that's changed on that end.
So we're still getting calls for service, and I guess that's that reminder to let people know that we're here, that we're still answering the phones, that we're connecting. If anybody emails us, we're connecting with individuals. So it's that reminder of we're present, we can provide that support. So our calls have, they're still continuing. Like you said, some of them are a little different. How we respond to them, of course, is different in the sense of providing that support emotionally over the phone. If people are requiring safety measures, we're finding creative ways of how to get those items to those people to ensure their safety is there. So it's just that reminder that we're on the line, we're here to provide that support, and we're just doing it from I guess you could say, a physical distancing perspective.
So you made mention that you're still there. You also made mention that it is a free service. So I think that that's really important for the public to know. And I think too, when I think of victim services, I think of, I wonder if people can self-refer, and if they can, do you find that anyone's hesitant because they don't want to view themselves as a victim?
No, I think that's a very good point, because we don't like to have that stigma or that title or want to think that we've been victimized. And that's a piece of that trauma-informed support, right? Explaining to people the impact of victimization or the impact of being and understanding what trauma-informed support is, and the fact that when we lose that power to then be titled as a victim can create a stigma. So it's that reminder just to educate people around the impact of trauma, how it has the impact on the body, the mind, how it impacts the family, especially during COVID. If there's been a death in the family, or suicide, or something that has happened, or domestic violence that is escalating, or family disputes or break and enters, for example, that very unsettling feeling, we can help people process what they've gone through, put some words sometimes to emotions that they might not be able to explain, and sometimes that helps normalizes what those emotions and feelings are. So it kind of gives that sense of reassurance and comfort back to themselves. And sometimes that's just a conversation that just needs to be had, and giving someone permission to feel what they're feeling in this moment.
Another thing that you had mentioned when we were speaking earlier, because we were talking about how, folks can find out about these services. And of course, 211 is always an option if people are looking for supports, and they can be linked over to victim services. But you made a comment that you can actually do a soft handoff. Can you elaborate on that?
Exactly. So one of the things as our role as crisis support workers is we will sit with the person, listen to them for as long as to review everything that they might have tried, have called, access, be a community support or connect. We can help with that soft handoff, getting them connected, maybe making that first phone call with them, or in the refer them and in that refers, just so they feel supported and they don't fall through the cracks in regards to being hesitant to even maybe make that first phone call themselves, or sometimes they're not even aware of the program or know what's happening or what's currently being offered in the community. So we can have that conversation with them and then do that soft handoff. So we found success that way.
Okay. So because 211 does the same sorts of service as far as that soft handoff if somebody is in crisis, but that's it's really, really good to know that victim services can do the same. So and on a last note, we do have a link to your website on the ckgives.ca page, and if you haven't visited yet, Jen, it is a place that we're asking our community partners, police services, the municipality, to really direct people there when they're looking for help, when they're wanting to give help, so sign up for volunteering, and of course to donate. But on the Get Help page, we certainly have the link to victim services. Do you want to speak to maybe what some of those resources are on your webpage, and maybe other ways that people can find out services? Like, so do you have a Facebook page? Do you have an Instagram? How is the messaging getting out?
For sure. So we have the Facebook page that outlines basically what is victim services, that explains if you're looking for volunteering, the expectations of a volunteer. And then there's also an email address and the phone number to call. So if people do call, we're checking the phones all the time and returning those phone calls. If you send emails, we're responding via email. It outlines the VQRP program, so it would show in the sense that people are wondering, because the VQRP program is called VQRP Enhanced because the government back in October removed the Criminal Injuries Compensation Board. So for victims of crime, the funding formula has changed and such. So if people are wondering about if their eligibility for VQRP is there, it's all outlined on the website. So we're checking our emails, we're checking our messages. We do have a Twitter account, and then Facebook is more of an information base. We don't take referrals via that way just because it's not monitored all the time. So to ensure people are getting a response, we encourage them to leave a message and we'll return it. And everything is confidential. So in the sense of any messages left, information shared, there is a confidentiality.
What's the phone number?
For sure, 519-436-6630.
And that, I imagine, can be found on the website as well.
Correct, yep.
Well, thanks really very much, Jen. Is there anything that you want to add in closing?
Just a reminder that it's a free support service for anybody in the community. We encourage you to reach out, not to feel isolated or alone, or wondering if you just need to speak to someone during COVID. We're here also for the community.
24 hours a day?
We are 24 hours a day.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking some time out, Jen. I know you, like a lot of our community partners, are just very busy. COVID has really changed the landscape, and people are busy helping people. So thanks for joining us, and thank you, CK, for checking in again with our 3 p.m. chat. We appreciate the opportunity to share the good work that community partners are doing. Have a safe weekend. The long weekend's coming up, and you know what that means. That means the May 16 Miracle that's happening on Saturday afternoon. So if any of you are looking for information on that, go to may16miracle.com and you can find ways how you can support the event. So thanks again, Jen, and good afternoon, CK, and everyone have a great day.